Dr. Ratio is going to be coming out in Honkai Star Rail very soon, and every single player is going to be getting him for free. So today, instead of my normal like should you pull video, since we're all going to be getting him already, I want to just go over Dr. Ratio's kit to show how much value he'll be able to provide us all, as especially for a lot of players I know who might not have a really good imaginary character, and just showing how he could benefit you, because I do think he's going to be very beneficial for so many players, myself included, honestly. So starting out here with his kit, so his basic attack just deals imaginary damage to a single target, nothing really too crazy there. His skill is similar, gonna give more damage to the target, obviously, because skills usually do scale higher, but his skill does have a lot more value once we do get into his talent though, so we'll talk more about that when we get there. Then for Dr. Ratio's ultimate, he'll deal imaginary damage to a single target and will also apply the Wiseman's Folly effect on them. And this effect is going to make it so whenever other allies attack the enemy with Wiseman's Folly, Dr. Ratio will have a guaranteed follow-up attack on them. And he can do this twice per ultimate, which is very nice. And the follow-up attack scaling is based on his talent, which we'll get into right now, which is that whenever Dr. Ratio uses his skill, he has at base a 40% fixed chance of launching a follow-up attack against the target he was attacking. And the really interesting thing about this to me is that because we have his stats from the trial run from the recent story quest in 1.6, we do see that his talent's follow-up attack actually has a higher multiplier than his ultimate, which is super interesting to me. So the main playstyle for Ratio is going to be using that skill pretty much all the time to get the follow-up attack as much as possible, because you're going to be doing a lot of damage on that. And for every debuff that the enemy has, the chance of launching the follow-up attack increases by 20%. And since it's a fixed chance rather than a base chance, that means this doesn't get affected by effect hit rate or effect res. It's just a chance for it to occur. So so running him with debuff centric characters, like you're gonna run Silver Wolf with him, you're gonna want to run like the DOT characters would be very good with him as well. Any other character that can debuff the enemy is going to be extremely powerful with him, because if you have 3 debuffs on an enemy, you're gonna have a 100% chance to do this follow-up attack, and it is gonna do some pretty big damage. Then for his technique, so when he uses this technique, it'll create a dimension. And during the dimension, it will taunt enemies, so they won't attack you. They'll attack the sort of like stone statue that he places. And when you enter battle with enemies in the dimension, there's a 100% base chance to reduce each enemy's target speed for 15% for 2 turns, which is very nice. So if your team isn't running as many like speed boots and stuff like that, or you don't have as high speed stats in general, then you are going to be able to go before some enemies there, which is going to be really nice for those really fast enemies. Now moving on to his major traces, which I do also think are going to be very strong for him. So his first major trace is that whenever he uses his skill, for every debuff you have on the target, you'll get a crit rate increase of 2.5% and crit damage by 5%, and you can stack this up to 6 times. So that'll end up leading to a pretty high amount of crit rate and crit damage there. It should be 15% crit rate and then 30% crit damage, which is pretty huge. It's a pretty good amount, especially when we get to more parts of his kit when it comes to crit rate, because I do think that depending on his major trace here, as well as like substats from relics, and then also his minor traces, which we see here, you get some crit rate, I do think it might be more effective to run a crit damage body piece on him. But now moving on to his second major trace, when you use his skill to target to attack an enemy, there's a 100% base chance to reduce their effect res by 10% for 2 turns. Now this is cool as well, because that is going to count as a debuff, and yeah, it counts as a debuff, and it's going to make it more likely for debuffs to be inflicted by other characters as well, because they'll have lowered effect res. So this will be very good for increasing the chance of his skill, of his talent, I mean, to do the follow-up attack. Then we have the last major trace, which is that when You deal damage to a target that has 3 or more debuffs, which at that point you already have a 100% chance of the follow-up attack. For each debuff you have, the damage dealt by ratio will increase by 10% up to a max increase of 50%. So you're gonna, to get the max benefit from this, you're gonna want to have 5 debuffs, which I do think because of that, Silverwolf is gonna probably be his best partner, just because she can apply an insane amount of debuffs at once. But plenty of other characters will be able to provide some good debuffs for him as well. And plus he has the Effector Res debuff built into his kit as well here. So now, I don't normally do this because we don't have this info, accessible by the time I make these guides. But I do want to talk about his Eidolons because they were visible in the game. And also his minor traces real quick. As I said, he gets the crit rate. He also does get attack percent, and he gets defense percent there as well. So I do want to talk about his Eidolons here, and then we'll talk about his banner, because I do think that some people are probably still going to pull on his banner for either Eidolons, or they might pull for the light cone. I'll probably end up covering the light cone in a YouTube short, as I've been doing with the new light cones. So for E1, he gets an additional 4 stacks available for his summation major trace, which is the one that gives him the extra crit rate and crit damage. And you also have 4 stacks from the start of battle even before that. So the way you get more stacks on a skill and the amount of stacks you need from a skill won't change, because you just get an extra 4, which is very nice. And this will just lead you to have even more damage, because now if you're having 10 total stacks of it, you'll end up having 25% crit rate and 50% crit damage. So yeah, I think if you have E1, I think you could definitely run a crit damage piece, assuming you have some good crit rate subs. Then for his for E2 here, when his follow-up attack hits a target, for every debuff they have, you'll additionally deal some imaginary damage, equal to 20% of Ratio's attack on top of the damage, which is very nice. And the effect there can be triggered for a maximum of 4 times for each follow-up attack. So you can get up to 80% of an additional damage boost, which is very nice. Or 80% of Ratio's attack for damage boost, which is extremely nice there. All right, then for E3, it's just going to be some extra scaling for his ultimate and basic attack. So nothing too crazy there. For E4, whenever the talent is triggered, he will also get 15 energy back, which is going to be kind of crazy because, let's see, how much energy is his ultimate here? It's 140. Okay, so it is a bit expensive, so it is actually going to be very nice. And the more times you're going to ultimate, the more times you're going to be able to follow-up attack, because you are going to be able to activate Wiseman's Folly with every ultimate. Then E5, he does get some extra scaling for skill and talent, which is going to be the bigger of the 2 scaling traces, but not traces of the Eidolons. Then for E6, lastly, he does increase the amount of trigger counts for Wiseman's Folly by 1, so you can get 3 follow-up attacks through Wiseman's Folly, and the damage dealt by the talent's follow-up attack increases by 50%. So that's kind of a crazy Eidolon there. Now, I don't really recommend players to pull for extra ratios. I mean, unless they really want to and they have, the currency saved up, or if they are low spenders or even whales, to get extra copies of him, because his Eidolons are very good. But the thing that's not very good is his banner. So his banner is Sushang, Natasha, and Hook. And this, especially now that we have, the only character I would have given some spotlight to here is Natasha, being, the free sustain that you can get some good dupes for. But now Lynx is free with Pure Fiction. And it is relatively easy to clear stage 2. You don't even have to 3-star or anything, you just have to clear it. And yeah, now we have Lynx, which is just a better Natasha. And Sushang is I'd probably say Sushang is probably the more valuable character here. Natasha is good, but now that we can get Lynx for free, it's not really that crazy. And then Hook is, has her uses, but she's also just kind of there, I feel like, when it comes to just DPS kind of characters. But yeah, Sushang can be very good still, especially if you pull Ruan Mei, because she does work very well with break teams. But yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you think of Dr. Ratio, if you do plan to pull for him as well. But with that, everyone, I'm going to end off the video here. Thank you all for watching. I do hope that this guide helped you all out in knowing how Dr. Ratio can work, what he's going to do. I do think that he's going to probably be best with the imaginary set, so that's why I've been farming for him. And I do plan to, give my thoughts on him more so once he's actually out. But with that, everyone, I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed and haven't already, definitely be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell. But with that, I will see you all next time.